God, I want that engine so badly. Alright, to start with, these are the blocks you'll need to build the locomotive. Make sure you have a train station placed on a nice straight piece of track, and hit Create New Train. Take your train casing, hold it, and press Left Alt. This will now open the Extended Bogies menu. Now for our first bogie, we only need the standard double style, so simply place it on this highlighted blue track. For our next bogie, we'll go to Single Axles and select the long 020 driver, place it one block away from the first bogie, and make it larger by pressing the track below it. Once again, go to Single Axles and select the first blank single axle, which is just the single version of the double standard axle, and place it as close to the driving bogie as you can. This will be the bogies for our locomotive. Take your black stone polished slabs, stairs, and block, as well as the copycat panel, as well as the black slashed locometal. For the running board, we want 2 slabs here. Place a temporary block here like so you can place the stair block like so, facing towards the front instead of the back. Place another temporary block and a stair block facing the same orientation as this one. A slab. On top of that, a copycat panel with the polished black stone. Once again, use a temporary block to place a stair block, oriented this time in the reverse of what we placed prior. And one more stair block here. Take the copycat step and place it under the stair block, like so, remembering to fill it in. Then you're going to want one slab here, alternate to a black slashed locometal, then one more temporary block, place a stair block like so. And then you're going to want to repeat that on the other side. Next, you're going to want to fill in the chassis of the locomotive. Simply place some in the middle like so, until you get to the rear bogie of the locomotive, in which case you're going to want to leave this space empty. We'll come back to that in a bit. And of course, one last stair block to finish off the running board in the front. For the cab, place 2 copycat panels on top of the rear bogie, and fill those in with polished black stone. Take your train controls and seat, place the train controls here like so, and the seats here like so, on both sides. For the walls of the cab, place a layer that's 3 blocks long here, and on top of that, a layer that's 2 blocks long. Placing on top of the train controls rather than the splasher, just 3 copycat panels like so. For the roof, start with a polished black stone slab in the middle, and copycat panels for the sides. Take the cyan iron-wrapped locometal and place it along the length of the locomotive like so until you get to the front bogie. Place a black locometal smoke box here, and here in the cab to represent a firebox. Place 2 copycat steps like so, and fill them in with the locometal smoke box, making sure it is pointed in the same orientation as the actual smoke box. Take a polished black stone wall, place it here, and on top of that, a coal burner smokestack. Since it's a passenger engine, I recommend dyeing it a lighter color. Take a bit of yellow slashed locometal, and place it here between the 2 splashers. And right behind that, a brewing stand to represent the safety valve and whistle, and various other components that would go roughly around here on the locomotive. Cover the remaining space on the boiler with copycat panels, like so, and fill those in with the locometal. Optionally, you can also place lanterns on the front running board. You can do an express head coat like here, or you could give it a much bigger headlamp sort of situation. I prefer to give it express head coats since it's meant to be a British Victorian engine. Fill in the cab roof with black slashed locometal, fill in the walls with the locometal color of your choice, and for the 2 windows here, fill it in with some glass. For our final step here, take the copycat headstocks that we've used before, or that you like to use on your railway, and place them like so. And then take another locometal of your choice, and fill it in. Before you wig out about the direction that the middle bogie is facing, there's a bit of a bug with Create Mod, and especially with extended bogies, which I think is where the bug originates, where the bogie will flip itself when it's assembled. So if I flipped it like so and then assembled it, it would then be facing the wrong direction like this. So this is what the locomotive will look like and is meant to look like. Once the locomotive is done, it's time for the tender. Go back to the extended bogies menu in your train casing, go to single axles, and select the small O2O trailing bogie, and place that as close as you can get to the locomotive. Then go to double axles and just select basically the O4O version of that trailing wheel we just placed, and place it as close as you can get. Thankfully, the running board of this is a lot simpler. We only need the stairs, the black/look metal, and the slab. Simply fill in the middle like so with the black locometal, and then fill it out with slabs. For the ends here, just use stairs instead. Next, take a color of your choice, and if you're using a lined locometal, use an unlined locometal, preferably, the copycat panel, and the copycat step. Place some steps here on the end of the tender, like so. In this little 2x3 area in the rear, fill that in with the locometal, place a copycat panel on top, fill that in. This will be the tank of the tender. Fill in the walls with the copycat panels, and this includes the back as well, and use the copycat step to create a bit of a lip for the tender. Alternatively, you could also use some much thinner blocks from the Copycats Plus mod, but I prefer to use the copycat panels and blocks that come pre-packaged with Create Mod anyways. Grab your black/locometal and your locometal color of choice. Use the black/locometal to fill in the bit of the running board here, and then just fill in the walls and the lip of the tender. Next, do the headstocks for the rear. Make sure to fill that in. And for the final step, fill the rear with coal of whatever block you think looks good as coal. I personally prefer to use black stone, since it's a bit of a better texture. Now on to gluing the locomotive, which is a bit more complicated due to the rear bogie. Because of the way that Create Mod behaves, it won't let you glue together a locomotive with more than 2 bogies. If you do that, it will refuse. It literally will not let you assemble a locomotive if there is one stray bogie that is glued in with 2 others. However, there is a way around this, and it's called not gluing the 3rd bogie to the locomotive. Make sure you have a block on hand, it doesn't matter what block, because it's going to be temporary and you're super glue. First thing we're going to want to do is glue the upper half of the locomotive without the running board. Just the splasher and whatever's on top of the running board. Next, glue from this point of the locomotive to the front end of the locomotive, covering the running board and anything around it. Then, without gluing or coming in contact with the bogie, select here on the running board, and here on the wall on the cab. And simply repeat this step on the other end. And finally, glue your tender the same way you would any other piece of rolling stock. And with that, what the f— For our final step, crouch here and sort of just go underneath so you can access this little bit of the bogie, and place a copycat step right here. You don't have to fill it in, but I'm just going to do it anyways in case it somehow clips through and you can see it. So it's sort of just less noticeable. And with that, it should function. You can operate this basically the same exact way as any other locomotive. There's really no difference. The only difference is that it's going to look a little weird on curves, because since it's a 3rd bogie that isn't actually attached to the locomotive, it acts like it's not attached to the locomotive and is instead a piece of rolling stock that is trailing behind it. So it sort of just acts on its own behalf. Now, while this is accurate to the way that bogies work in real life, it doesn't really look good on sharp curves in this game, so I highly recommend, if you're going to build this locomotive, use it on a mainline route rather than, a tramway like I've done here. This isn't going to be used for a tramway, by the way. It's meant to be used for longer distance express trains, like in real life. However, I haven't built the coaches to those yet, and I don't think the branch line coaches are going to necessarily enjoy going at faster paces, so I'm definitely going to have to design something that can go at higher speeds. But for now, we have this lovely locomotive we can put on display. Or just drive around ourselves as a little private excursion engine. I mean, technically it still could work with tramway coaches. It would just look a little odd. And that's about gonna do it with this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's a little different and a little complicated compared to the other tutorials, so I tried to simplify the actual visual design a little bit just to help. This is I definitely want to start making more complicated engines like so. So, if you want to see more of this, then stay tuned. And yeah, I discovered there's a zoom. So now I can do the YouTuber thing where I give you epilepsy. So anyways, if you want more tutorials like this, then keep in touch with the channel. And I'll see you in the next tutorial, which will be I'm definitively stating that the next tutorial is going to be express coaches. I am definitively saying that the next tutorial is going to be express coaches.